Namaste. Welcome to lesson 3 helical gears under module 3. I'd like to thank NPTEL and my special thanks due to Professor K. Gopinath and Professor M.M. Mayuram. See, we have an image of helical gears. Helical gears are used to transmit heavy power at high speeds with low noise. Introduction. Here we have figure 1 and figure 2. Figure 1 spur gears and figure 2 helical gears. We have already studied that the case of spur gears, the teeth are parallel to the axis and also they are parallel to each other. Whereas in the case of helical gears, which is shown in figure 2 here, the teeth are inclined to the axis. That's the main difference between spur gears and helical gears. Actually, helical gear is a form of spur gear only, but the teeth are inclined to the axis. Helical gear can be thought of as an ordinary spur gear machined from a stack of thin shim stock. Rotated spur gear laminations approach a helical gear as laminations approach a zero thickness. Figure 4 illustrates double helical gear or a herringbone gear. Herringbone or double helical gear shown in figure 4 and also shown in figure 5 can be two helical gears with opposing helix angle stacked together. As a result, two opposing thrust loads cancel and the shafts are not acted upon by any thrust load. The advantages of elimination of thrust load in herringbone gears is heavy power transmission. But this double helical gears or herringbone gears cost high because machining cost and mounting costs are also high. Hence, application is limited to only very heavy power transmission. Professor V.V. Bhandari distinguished herringbone and double helical gear. So, in the case of a herringbone gear, the teeth are cut on a single blank, whereas in the case of double helical gears, there will be a groove between these two gears. This groove separates these two gears in the case of double helical gear. But most of the engineers say that double helical gear is a herringbone gear. Another class of helical gears is a crossed helical gear. What you can see here. Cross helical gears are used for transmitting power between two non-parallel, non-intersecting shafts. Common application is a distributor and pump drive from camshafts in automotive engines. Next we have helical gas kinematics. When two helical gears are engaged, as in figure 7, the helix angle has to be the same on each gear, but one gear have a right hand helix and the other a left hand helix. Figure 8 illustrates helical gear tooth formation. The shape of the tooth is an involute helicoid as illustrated in figure 8. If a paper piece of the shape of a parallelogram is wrapped around a cylinder, the angular edge of the paper becomes the helix. This is edge of the paper. This is helix. And you know that the angle between this edge of the paper and the axis of the cylinder is called helix angle, denoted by beta. In this particular notes, authored by Professor Gopinath and Professor Mayuram, they have used helix xi to denote helix angle. But in the Design Data Handbook, 4th edition, authored by Professor K. Mahadevan and Professor K. Balaveera Reddy, they have denoted helix angle by beta. That's why I have changed this xi to beta. If the paper is unwound, each point on the angular edge generates an involute curve, as shown here. The surface got when every point on the edge generates an involute is called involute helicoid. Because of the helical angle, gradual engagement of the teeth will take place in the case of helical gears. This gradual engagement makes the gear operation smoother and quieter than with spur gears and results in a lower dynamic factor CV. Thus, it can transmit heavy loads at high speeds. Typical usage is automotive transmission for compact and quiet drive. Next we have geometry and nomenclature. The helix angle beta is always measured on the cylindrical pitch surface. Here. Beta value is not standardized. It ranges between 15 degree and 45 degree. Commonly used values are 15 degree, 23 degree, 30 degree or 45 degree. Lower values give less end thrust. Higher values result in a smoother operation and a more end thrust. Above 45 degree is not recommended. Figure 9 shows portion of helical rack. You can see here, these are teeth and this is the face width. And here we have two sections. One is normal plane, the other one is in plane of rotation, that is RR is in plane of rotation and NN is a normal plane. Pitch in the normal plane is denoted by Pn and the pressure angle is alpha n. Pitch in plane of rotation is denoted by P. It is also called transverse pitch or circular pitch and pressure angle is alpha. Here we have axial pitch PA. This is circular pitch. The circular pitch P and pressure angle alpha are measured in the plane of rotation as in spur gears. These quantities in normal plane are denoted by suffix n, that is Pn, normal pitch, alpha n, normal pressure angle. From geometry we have normal pitch as Pn is equal to P cos beta and normal module Mn is equal to M cos beta. So while selecting standard module, we need to consider Mn only. The pitch diameter D of the helical gear is given by D is equal to Z into Mn by cos beta. D is equal to Zm is for spur gears. The axial pitch PA is given by PA is equal to P divided by tan beta. For axial overlap of adjacent teeth, face width B must be greater than or equal to axial pitch PA. In practice, face width B is equal to 1.15 to approximately 2 times the axial pitch. The relation between normal and transverse pressure angles. Tan alpha n is equal to tan alpha into cos beta. Alpha n is the normal pressure angle, alpha is the transfer pressure angle, and beta is the helix angle. Please do remember this relation. In the case of helical gear, the resultant load between mating teeth is always perpendicular to the tooth surface. Hence, bending stresses are computed in the normal plane, and the strength of the tooth as a cantilever beam depends on its profile in the normal plane. Figure 10 shows the view of a helical gear in normal and transverse plane. This is figure 10. The following figure shows the pitch cylinder and one tooth of a helical gear. The normal plane intersects the pitch cylinder in an ellipse. So here this is the pitch cylinder and we have two sections, section planes. One is in plane of rotation, the other one is a normal plane. So this is an ellipse. Here they have considered one tooth, this one. See here? The shape of the tooth in the normal plane is nearly the same as the shape of a spur gear tooth having a pitch radius equal to radius RE of the ellipse. Here RE is equal to D divided by 2 times cos square beta. So in the case of spur gears, actually you know that radius R is equal to D by 2. D is the pitch diameter. But in the case of helical gear, that radius RE is equal to D divided by 2 cos square beta. The equivalent number of teeth, also called virtual number of teeth, ZV, is an important parameter in the design of helical gears. And this ZV, which is also called a formative number of teeth, is defined as the number of teeth in a gear of radius RE. That is ZV is equal to 2 times RE by Mn. That's equal to D divided by Mn into cos square beta. They have substituted this value of R, that is equal to D divided by 2 times cos square beta here in this one. So we have obtained this. Substituting Mn is equal to M cos beta and D is equal to Zm, we get the virtual number of teeth ZV is equal to Z divided by cos cube beta. The design procedure for helical gear is almost similar to the design procedure of spur gears. But instead of using Z, we have to use a ZV, that is virtual number of teeth we must use. When we compute the bending strength of helical teeth, values of the Lewis form factor Y are the same as for spur gears having the same number of teeth as the virtual number of teeth ZV in the helical gear and a pressure angle equal to alpha n. Thank you.